Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast focusing on film and television. These are the only awards that really matter, the 2025 Ho Awards. So let's kick off the show. My name is Aaron Peterson. Joining me today are my fellow hoes, John Davenport.
Hey, buddy.
Troy Heinrichs.
What's up, all?
And Amanda Sink.
Hello, hello.
Amanda is doing that podcasting no-no. She's having to use a less than stellar microphone. What a way to start the year. What a way.
I destroyed all the technology coming into 2025, apparently.
Amanda, I just appreciate that you started 2025 present. So again,
I was present. I texted Aaron when I was up on time, so he knew I was up a half an hour before we needed to record, and I was here.
I'm going to send her a little reward.
A half hour? You were only up a half hour before you got here?
You know, she's 2 hours behind you, jackass.
Oh, that's right.
Time zones, bud.
And for those of you that don't know, because you'll hear this whenever the hell you want to hear it, we're recording this at 4 a.m. in the morning Eastern.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very early. Super early, apparently, in John's mind. Jesus.
I watched Wicked last night. Okay, it's like a 16-hour movie, so I needed to sleep in a little.
And you loved every freaking minute of it, didn't you?
Maybe not every minute, but it was pretty good.
I like how you just ride to the wire on that one. You're like, I should see Wicked at least before I finish this top 10 list.
It's not her fault. It just dropped for rental on New Year's Day.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I understand. Hey,
she could have seen it, for the entire 30 days prior in a theater, but I know she's busy and stuff, and the naps are important, but...
Yeah.
Hey, we're just glad you're here, so thanks for being here.
Yay!
I'm glad you're all here,
Thank
we
you.
don't focus on me so much.
Yes, I'm hoping in this new year we teach John how time works and...
Teach me how to drive, apparently.
Really, you just need to teach me how
Troy how to drive. Again, I told people you were okay, so you're okay. You're fine.
I am here. I am present.
Yeah.
I was worried about you.
Totally worried.
John did not know, even though we talked about it on our last episode, that Troy had a car accident, which is lovely, John. Really nice,
Hey, I care.
What it shows is that John also, A, does not care about me, 2, my family, and 3, the show, because he doesn't even listen to the damn thing.
I've been busy.
Yeah.
I've had things to do.
Sure, I gotcha. Hey, on that note, in terms of busy and having things to do, if you haven't listened to our whole awards before, we do ours a bit different. We don't do male and female, for example. We never have. It's always been just actor and supporting actor. If you want to follow along, the categories are in the show notes or the website post, so just bring it up and let us know what your picks are on social media. We're on Threads and Blue Sky and X and Facebook and whatever you follow on, except TikTok, because I think we're on TikTok. We don't do much on TikTok. Maybe we should do more on TikTok before China takes it back.
How many times are you going to say TikTok in one sentence?
As many as are necessary, John. As many.
All right, just checking.
So what we're going to do is each of us will award our winners in each category, and at the end we'll combine ours with listener picks to determine what was the Ho TV series and movie of 2024. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's get on to the awards. So we're going to start with the best TV or movie watching experience of 2024. And I want to say, Amanda, normally your tones are very podcaster friendly. You know what? You're not bad. You don't sound bad. I just want to let you know before you get too self-conscious because we keep mentioning that. But what was your best TV or movie watching experience of 2024 of last year?
I always go back to South by Southwest.
Not seeing Fall Guy?
Fuck you for that. I finally saw it. I finally did see it. But I think I'd have to go with, it's so tough. There's 2 moments that really stood out to me, but I'm going to go with the one that I think is more personally impactful, I guess.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with when you and I got to see Roadhouse.
Oh, that was so cool.
It was so cool. It was so fun. It was also just it was a wild, a wild night.
Yeah, Conor McGregor was, I'm not saying he was on anything, but he seemed like a very uppity dude, very happy, you know?
He is on one. Yeah, he has so much energy and like stage presence, if you
It's
will.
like a coked up
Um,
leprechaun.
Yeah, but also, I don't know if you remember, Aaron, but I don't know if Troy and John remember from the South by Southwest episode, but we talked about how Connor actually really took some stride in protecting one of his friends and also
Yeah.
someone who works closely with him who had a medical emergency. And so that whole event was like a whirlwind of emotions, right? Like we have so much fun. It's very engaging. Conor McGregor is literally like on a scale of 0 to 10, he's like 2,000.
He
Pretty
is,
sure the
yeah.
entire Q&A panel was Conor McGregor.
It was, but I said this, I think, on that episode, but it's, for whatever a person's character is or how they are in front of cameras and microphones, how you see them in a tragic moment is kind of how you see them in terms of who they are. And he was on it. Like, he cared so much about this guy who was hurting, and he was doing everything he could to protect him, to get him help, to make sure that people around understood the importance of that. Like, he showed himself to be a good person at that time, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. And the movie itself was so much fun. The audience, and that's why I really, really like those movie moments at South by Southwest, because the audiences at South by Southwest are so different from the audiences in a theater. I cannot replicate that experience if I even dreamed of it, because everyone has so much respect for being quiet during the movie. You might have like one or two annoying people, but it's not terrible. And everyone has like so much boisterous response to the good and the bad and the action scenes and the cool, one-liners and, people's asses showing up on screen. And it's so much fun to feel like you are just in that little tiny, intimate, but very broad bubble with a bunch of other people. So that was definitely my favorite.
Troy, John?
Mine is 3 moments, but they're the same movie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The first time I saw
I was like, we don't
Wicked-
do honorable mentions on this episode, jackass, but all right, if you can make this work.
Yeah, the first time I saw Wicked was a pre-release option before it actually was out wide, which was amazing, thanks to Fandango and company. And saw that with the family minus the daughter, and just was cool to like people that were super excited to see Wicked that wanted to go early, and musical friends. And then when we saw the big, surprise in the movie, like the whole theater going at the same time, like that Endgame moment, which was really cool. Plus seeing it with obviously the missus and my son, and just having him have that musical experience, because he's not typically that kind of guy, but really enjoyed the movie. I thought that was really great. The second time I saw Wicked in the theater was with a millennial, very early millennial, so almost maybe a Gen Zer, and her mother, who would be a clear boomer, and just like watching their two experiences of the millennial Gen Zer like crying at the end because of like the fascism and the animals being hurt and all of this like thing, whatever, and then the boomer like not even like understanding that it was about fascism. And so having this like deep conversation afterwards about like what this all meant and what it was all trying to do, and like watching the boomer come to the realization, and she's like, oh my gosh, like Wizard of Oz was like my favorite movie of all time. Like I didn't know. And it was like that. So that was a really cool eye-opening moment. And then the third time I saw it was with the daughter only for my birthday. And I think with that, it was just nice to be able to like watch her just watch the movie rather than actually watching the movie. Like I watched her watch the movie and just like what she liked and like got excited about, and where she fell asleep, and then where she got re-engaged, and just seeing that was kind of like a really interesting experience as well. And then for me, like seeing it 3 times, like the first time was the, awe and wonder of it all. And then the second time was, where's all the Easter eggs? And then the third time is when I actually was like emotionally connected to the movie and actually cried at the end pretty heavily. So yeah, I think Wicked was definitely a great experience for me.
God, how do I follow that experience? I was just going to talk about how like me and my buddies went to go see Wolverine and Deadpool, and it's the first time in years that we've all gotten together to go see a movie.
That counts.
That counts. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
No, it was a really good time. I really, really loved that whole experience. I loved how much, we even went for drinks after the movie, and it was a great connective moment for all of us. And it was something we hadn't seen each other in one place in one time in such a long time that it was just such a beautiful moment for us.
It's good when you can get your friends out that don't normally get out to go see something. Mine was also Wicked, which was, surprising. But my mom is the biggest Wizard of Oz fan I know. It's one of her top 3 favorite movies of all time, and I had watched a lot as a kid. It's not my top 3 favorite movie of all time, but I understood her appreciation for it, and we got to see it also at the early event, thanks Fandango, and was able to go with just my mom, which I haven't done in forever, because it's always my dad or my wife or my kids or whatever. There's always somebody else. I never really get to go with just my mom, and don't get me wrong, I love going with all those people, but there was something about going to see Wicked, which is something she had never seen. She read all the books and everything, but she did not see the stage play, the musical, ever. So she just went in knowing this is like a different take on one of her favorite movies. And when we got there, because it was this early event, there were so many girls dressed as Galinda and Alfie and everything else. Like, people were just wearing princess dresses and things like that. And it was just like a really cool event, and just she was all smiles the entire thing, and she had such a great time. It was a really special moment. It was cool that we got to go together. So there you go.
That's amazing.
It was great. Now,
can I do an honorable mention?
God damn it, Amanda!
He just said we don't do those.
We just said we were so appreciative of you actually being here again and being present, and then you had to go frick it all up.
Well, because one was in a theater, one was not in a theater, so they're different types.
No,
of
that's what a winner. Thankfully, we'll take a majority vote. I say no.
No.
I say no.
Okay.
If there's time at the end, you can do it as you're
if
saying
you get
goodbye.
an honorable mention, I get an honorable mention, and then Troy gets 3 apparently, and then Aaron gets frustrated. Period.
This is how we keep people on the mark. Now, What if they did that at the Oscars? Okay, Jack Nicholson, Best Actor. Also, Ryan Gosling, he was pretty cool. Let's give him something. You know what I mean?
Then maybe they would reward the people who actually do deserve it, rather than just whoever meets the super small criteria.
That's what our job is here, to give it to the people that really deserve it.
We are the ones doing that kind of heavy work.
That's right.
You're welcome.
All right, most personal.
We are the ones who knock.
Most personal, weird discussion creating TV or movie news item of 2024. Meaning, you talked about this news story more than any other, or it hits you particularly hard.
I mean, the one here that I think comes to mind for me is I'm always been kind of follow the entertainment industry type of stuff. Mm-hmm. And just this whole concept of what the frick's been going on at Paramount, and are they selling it? Are they not selling it? What's going to happen to CBS? What about BET? What about Nick? What about MTV? How does this all play out? So I've been following this Skydance Paramount combo, merger, not merger. Maybe they're going to sell the stake. Maybe they're not going to sell the stake. I just found it was very interesting to see how this all played out throughout the course of the year, because Paramount is getting their asses handed to them by Netflix and Amazon and Walt Disney. Mm-hmm. And so Bob Bakish was the president and CEO of Paramount Global, and David Zaslav was they were all in combination talks for Warner Brothers to buy Paramount at one time. So I thought that was interesting, because that's how the year was going to kick off for 2024, was Warner Brothers and Paramount are going to merge. That is big news. And that fell through. So then Skydance comes to the table, and they start showing up and talking and everything there. And then that falls through. So you're what the hell is going to happen to Paramount? Paramount's got so many assets, including my beloved Star Trek. And so that's why this was important to me, to figure out what the hell's happening with Star Trek. And so Skydance finally came to a conclusion that they were going to go ahead and rework some of its things and sell off some of the stakes. So then by July, they renegotiated, and now the leadership team at Skydance basically approved the sale of a number of Paramount properties like BET Networks to spin them off. And now the whole merger is going to happen. So then Skydance and Paramount are going to come together. And it's really Skydance buying a stake in National Amusements, which is the parent company of Paramount Global. Mm-hmm. And then once they go ahead and combine, Paramount Global and Skydance will now be called New Paramount as it goes forward. But if Paramount were to find a better offer, Skydance would be entitled to a $400 million breakup fee from the payout company. but so far things are looking good and expected to close in Q1 of 2025.
Just as long as I still get my daily show. That's all I care about. I just need my daily show.
Exactly.
And there's a couple other things you'd be missing out on too. I mean, there's Daily Show, there's Tracker, there's a couple other things too that I can't think of off the top of my head.
True, that's true.
Isn't Reacher part of that mess?
Yes and no. They're part of the television division, but they're not part of any of the channels because Prime owns it.
Prime will save Reacher.
Everyone will save Reacher because Reacher's one of their biggest hits. What about you, John?
For me, the story that hit the most for me this year was The Quiet on the Set, the dark side of the TV of kids TV, the 6-part docuseries that was recently released.
Oh, that really horrible one where we get to see that kid actors are treated as horrible as you thought.
Yeah, that one right there hit me the most as far as things that I've watched and the fact that it made big news because there were so many people going that they were just shocked that stuff like that actually happened, which I'm like, how are we surprised that this stuff is going off?
Corey Feldman tried to tell you in song, I think.
Corey Feldman tried to tell you in body also.
In everything he had.
So that's mine right there. That's I can't speak as eloquently about it as Troy speaks about anything, but I can say that one hit me the most.
I mean, you could try.
Whoa. Is it 2025? Was that a compliment from Arjan towards me?
Yeah,
you speak very eloquently.
Nice.
Wow. Okay, I'll take it. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
I mean, I stole your joke earlier today too, so
it was pretty funny too. I was impressed.
And no one knows what it is, so that's
no one laughs at Troy's jokes like Troy laughs at Troy's jokes.
Yeah, you should have seen Troy laughing at the joke. He lost his mind.
He's like, "That was such a good one," and then you look at him like, "Dude, I stole that from you." I know that's so funny.
I think that's why it got even better. I like how we're having this whole meta conversation, and yet nobody knows what we're going.
Nobody knows. Feel free to explain it if you want to.
All right, so Aaron was having trouble.
This is where you have to learn and read the room. He was being facetious. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll shut up then.
But now I want Troy to explain it.
Oh gosh.
Just on principle.
Seriously?
No, it's fine.
We don't have time for this.
All right, Amanda, what about you?
Listen to Patreon and you'll get the behind the scenes of this episode.
There you go.
/The Hollywood Outsider. So mine would probably have to be, and it was something that came up it was throughout the year, but it really started to ramp up at the very end of the year, particularly on New Year's Eve. And that would be the situation between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah,
it's become a real thing. Like it's a deal.
It has. For anyone who isn't familiar, the super, super high level is when they were working on their movie together. It Ends With Us. There have been allegations that have been made since by Blake Lively about the hostile and harassing environment that Justin Baldoni had created that impacted her. In her lawsuit, which she filed against him on, I think it was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and we did talk about this on our last episode a little, but it's escalated since then. So yeah.
Yeah, basically she sued him. He sued the New York Times for what they put into their articles. He was saying that they had slanted views and were basing it off of Blake Lively's perspective rather than including his statements. Then they replied and said, "Hey, dude, we tried to get your information in your statement and you didn't reply. So we're going off of the facts that exist that we know." And then Blake Lively responded by then suing Justin Baldoni again.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And
I feel like every day there's something new, Aaron.
It's quite wild. It is quite wild. And it's basically like Oprah at this point, like you get a lawsuit and you get a lawsuit and you get a lawsuit. And it's escalated crazy. Now you have Ryan Reynolds isn't even going to go to the Golden Globes, or he will not have been there. By the time you hear that's already happened. Sorry, we recorded early. But because he doesn't want to bring that kind of energy to the event, to take away from it. And so she's not going to, I think, any awards events anytime soon. It's just, the whole thing is escalated to a crazy level. But I will say, because a lot of people they're picking sides and whatnot. And, they're all like, she's got all the power because of her husband. And blah, blah. I'm like, she knows there's a risk to her own career by even filing this lawsuit. So I think you should just be trepidatious and take things as they come in, factually speaking.
But what an eventful story.
Mine are popcorn buckets and how people are fucking them. That's really where I'm at with.
Excuse me?
That's the thing that stood out to me. These novelty popcorn buckets, like Dune popcorn buckets. And that led to the Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket. That led to, just very sexualized popcorn bucket. Like, who knew that they could make a popcorn bucket sexy, I guess? But that happened in 2024. And I don't know if I'm thankful for it, but I love that it got people going to buy some popcorn, going to the theater, buying some popcorn so they could share these cheap plastic buckets with their friends and never use them again, ever.
Including Aaron, because what people don't know is that very recently, Aaron decided he was going to go on a quest and drive a great distance to go to a very specific theater to get a popcorn bucket.
A refill. Mine's different, sir. I did not go for a sexualized popcorn bucket. Regular old plastic with a little handle. AMC has an annual refill.
Just because you want to do the dirty deeds with the OG popcorn bucket does not mean
I don't want the new stuff. I like to go to the old stuff. You know what? I keep it old school.
There's nothing wrong with classic. Classic is fine.
It's wild. I do wonder how many of these things sold throughout the year. Like, how many people have 10 plastic popcorn buckets sitting on a shelf somewhere? Because people love collectibles and stuff.
I have like 3 or 4 of the tin ones for like Star Wars and Wonder Woman. And now I just use them as like mini trash cans.
Yeah, exactly. They're basically things that go in your bathroom on the floor now, right?
Literally.
You put in a Target bag, a plastic bag inside.
I cannot unsee the Dune bucket in the bathroom now.
That seems like the perfect place.
That gets its own shelf in the bathroom.
Why did you put that in my brain? I hate you so much.
Why is it next to the petroleum? I don't understand.
You.
Stop.
This keeps getting worse.
A Dune popcorn bucket in some Vaseline, I will smack you across your face myself.
Want that picture? Who's got one? Tag us on social media. I want a picture of that next to your lube of choice. Okay, so let's move into our awards. We'll start with TV. Again, no honorable mentions because this episode would be 3 hours long. But when it comes to it, we each get to choose our own winner for each award. And most of these are positive, but we do have one to kick it off with a little more on the what the hell is that level. When it comes to TV, the only rule is if it's a returning show, had to have at least 3 new episodes in 2024. So had to have some new episodes in 2024. Okay, everybody understands? And I will preface this. I will let you know ahead of time because people know I'm a huge fan of Reacher. I did not include Reacher on my list because it was number 1 for me last year. Even though it did have technically exactly 3 episodes this year, I just feel like it would have been a kind of a cheat to use it 2 years in a row. So
it meets the rule.
I made my choice.
Created the rule based on how many episodes Reacher had.
He's not suffering for choices.
I made my choice. I have a lot that I can choose from. It's all good. But I'm also letting you know Reacher's still best show on television. Okay, so let's go on to starting with the most absurd or frustrating TV series for whatever your reasons. And I'm going to tell you, and I feel bad because now I peeked ahead. I'm not going to tell you who, but somebody might have this on their top 10. The Madness. I went bonkers with this show. It drove me nuts in a bad way because it's full of potential. And then you're like 4 episodes in and I'm like, this is an 8 episode show that should have been handled in 2.5 hours. The madness is that they decided to go 3.5 hours longer. Like I just can't justify it in my head, or 4.5, whatever the number is. Too many hours. It's too freaking long. It's way too long. It's way too long.
Agreed, Aaron.
That's mine.
I don't even know what that show is.
Madness.
Not good. It should have been good. It should have been so good.
It's Coleman Domingo. Basically, he's a media pundit who gets framed for murder and he's trying to clear himself. And it's almost like Carry On level of ridiculous. But, it is what it is. It goes on too long.
It was on my top 10. It fell off after some more looking around. Not because there's anything wrong with the show. I actually enjoyed the show. I thought I really enjoyed the intensity and how long they were able to sustain the intensity.
They did not.
I enjoyed that, but I get I get where Aaron's coming from.
Fun fact, it is the number one most searched thriller on streaming today.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because people are
I'm absolutely wrong, and you guys are right, but I get it.
Well, I mean, as long as you understand it. Troy, your turn.
I find it interesting that these two shows went hand in hand in their first seasons between Rings of Power and House of the Dragon, and that was kind of the same way it fell this year. I think Rings of Power stepped it up. I think House of the Dragon fell flat on its face. I don't understand what the hell they're doing with this property. Like the first season, I was kind of bored, but then it picked itself up, and then it had a really great conclusion. So it was like, great. Now we're into like the, heads getting chopped off phase. It's going to be great from this point forward. And then season 2 came out of the gate and it was like, oh my God, can we get that GIF of the guy with the stick that says do something? I couldn't even finish episode 2. I was so bored to tears with House of the Dragon that I never picked it back up.
Wow.
I couldn't do it. And then hearing Aaron's, response on our review show or whatever about how you were disappointed with the whole season, I was like, well, I'm totally not going to continue now. Like, it's not worth my time.
I'll finish it out, but I was definitely disappointed.
It's just so much promise, yet so short.
Amanda?
I gotta go to an old faithful. Oh no. So I was on vacation for almost 2 weeks. Beautiful, blissful. Watched a lot of this show. Okay. Mm-hmm. Started with a rewatch of old episodes. Happened to land myself.
Oh my God. I already know where this
is going.
New episodes.
I know where this is going.
And it was the dumbest writing they have had to date. Okay. Grey's Anatomy. We're on season 21 or 22?
Why are we still talking about this show? Why can't it just let it go? Let it
go. Can't get away from it. I don't even watch it.
Oh my God.
And then it just sucks you in.
20 years into a show, it's hard to leave it.
It's not. I've done it so many times. I've done it so
20 years?
No, because no one's insane enough to stick around for 20. Just you two. You and Troy. That's it.
Sorry about it.
21 seasons.
At some point, you just go, I think it's time to walk away. I think it's time we broke up. It's like a bad marriage. At some point, you just got to leave if it's not working for you.
What happens is I go back to the old episodes where the show was really, really freaking good. Okay. The show was really good if you watched it in the beginning.
Oh, well, that was 21 years ago.
Hold on, Aaron. So I started doing
it's 19. It's 19 years old. It is the same age as my daughter. That's how long I've been watching this damn show. As I watched my own kid grow up while the show's been on the air.
And you guys have this completionist thing where I got to see it through. Why? Just wait and watch the last episode if there ever is one.
It really isn't about being a completionist for me. It's just that I want to see what happens in the end, if we ever get an end. But let me summarize why this, at least so far, because they have more episodes coming into next season or into 2025 for finishing this season. The reason I have so much struggle with this show now, and especially in this newest season, is because they're making very, very bold, drastic character decisions that are counterintuitive from one episode to the next. So I don't want to say anything that could spoil it for anyone who does still watch the show, because people still watch the damn show, Aaron. Otherwise, it wouldn't still be on and getting episodes out there.
And still in the top of the Nielsen ratings, if you still believe in that shit.
Sure.
There's that too. But I don't want to spoil anything, but they have a character that made one decision and made a very rash, impulsive, but very bold and very impactful decision. And it was very rash and it was petty. And it revolves around money. And it's like, well, we're going to just waste money. And then 2 episodes later, that same person is like, oh gosh, we can't do anything bad with money. I'm so worried. I need to make sure I'm controlling every asset that we have in our lives. And I'm like, this is so stupid. This character just made a very rash, petty decision. And now you're trying to make them as like this strong leading character who has this strong structure of being a business leader. And that's just not the case.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I agree with you 100%. And I almost like stopped watching because of it. And then I heard there were character exits at the end of the mid-season finale, and I was like, and they just ripped my heart out. And I was like, this is why I love this show, because I like, oh my god, I was not prepared.
Oh my god. Okay, is there any?
It's still a better exit than Alex got. F that shit.
Don't even get me started because I rewatched Alex's exit. It was stupid.
Guys, we've got so many awards to get through. And we're spending 12 minutes on Grey's Anatomy. We got to go.
We got to spend 21 because that's how many seasons there were.
No, we do not. John, what do you got?
I don't know if I can. Yet again, something I don't know if I'm qualified to follow. It's something I just recently picked up, which is James Gunn's Creature Commandos on Max. I don't like it. It's hard for me to sit there and say anything really like that, because it should be right up my alley. It should be this fun. It's a fun animated series. It's not for kids, not in any way, shape, or form. And it's got a lot of great bits to it, but it feels too much like James Gunn is already like patting himself on the back and really too high on his own creative juices. And I don't like it. It's doing a lot of things that it hasn't really earned. And it sounds shitty for me to say. Like, who am I to sit there and say any of these things? Like, the guy is swinging for the fences. Good for him. But I don't like it, is ultimately what it comes down to. And I'm trying to figure out exactly why. Because, again, it should be something that's right up my alley because of how absurd it is. But it swings too far for the fences.
What drove you to the show initially? Like, is it the animation? Is it the voice actors? I'm just curious, like, what made you say, like, I want to watch this?
It's the fact that it's going to be the direction, or it's part of the direction where DC is moving forward
it's
to.
The first DCU thing, right?
It's the first DCU thing. Now it hints to the fact that a lot of James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie is part of the DCU to some degree. But it doesn't. But it is the thing that's the first thing for DC.
Okay,
got it. All right. So now we move into, and we'll pick it up a little bit with these categories. Because we don't want it to be 16 hours of a show. But best special effects and/or stunts for a TV series. What do you got?
For me, this was hands down Dark Matter. The way that they handled the multiverse concept and switched between the multiverse.
Apple show, right? With
Apple TV. He basically figures out it's a completely different look at the multiverse. It's not like the multiverse is like
right.
jump from reality to reality. There's actually a dead space in the middle.
Joel Edgerton,
Jennifer Connelly, yes. Mm-hmm. And the dead space section alone and the special effects they did for that, and then how they can open the door and see into the different worlds and the different universes. And the things they had to do, like one of them was like a complete dust bowl. And the minute they open the door, like the dust comes brushing in. And one of them was like a water world, and the whole corridor fills up with water, and they're trying to shut the door underwater. I mean, it's like the way they were able to do those and just seamlessly. I thought it was really fantastic. And especially some of the bug creatures and the bug world that they went to, just fascinating on how they were able to it's very seamless. Like you couldn't tell that it wasn't like naturally part of the environment. I thought they did a really great job.
That's one of those movies or shows that I really needed to pick up and I haven't had time. And you just said Bug World, and I'm like, I need to watch this now.
Totally. It's up your alley.
All right. There's a list, who goes next.
So I am going to, damn it, Aaron. I'm trying to do better at not over speaking people. And I think I have a little delay. Okay.
1,000, 2, 1,000, go.
Thank you. I know you guys have some feelings on this show, House of the Dragon, but it's hard for me to not give an award to that show with how much money they have invest into their effects. And I still feel like any bombastic moment feels very alive and feels very real. So it's hard for me to not give that to them.
The award for how much money wasted? Is that the award we're giving?
No, I mean, it looks great. She's right.
It does look good. It does look good. It looks great.
It does. It looks great. So I have no qualms with the effects in House of the Dragon. I don't. It's, all the writing. But unlike y'all, if the writing doesn't get better in season 3, I'll just drop it like a hot pocket. You guys would, which is surprising to me because Troy, who is like 19 years into Grey's Anatomy, can't make it 4 episodes in House of the Dragon.
It's because he's learned his lesson with that other show.
Oh, yeah. No, he hasn't. He's still watching.
No, he hasn't. He'll do that with other shows he likes too.
If it would have been like year 5 and it was really stupid, I would have gotten out. But now that I'm 21 years in, now it's a quest. It's a requirement. Like, I'm not going to die before Grey's Anatomy does.
It's going to come back around. I swear.
This is the year. You're like a Dallas Cowboys fan. That's great.
All Meredith had to do was walk into the water that one season. It would have been over.
Isn't she gone?
Legitimately.
No. That was the
She's
thing.
still there.
She's still there.
She's not the main character.
Anyways, we're moving on.
Oh
John,
my God.
John,
yeah. Sorry.
John,
That was my fault.
My turn.
John.
So, all right. So the show that really blew me away this year was a brand new show, Fallout. I thought it was badass. I'm not even a fan of the game. It looked great, and everything about it was just well done. If you watch that show, from what I've seen from the game, you feel like you're in that world while you're watching it, and I think they did a really good job.
That's a great pick. Mine will be Shogun. I think.
Oh, Shogun!
Yeah, they recreated.
The
yeah, absolutely. Feudal Japan is brought to life, and it's glorious. I mean, it's absolutely glorious. They did some masterful work. They almost like recreated like their own version of the Game of Thrones opening too, which is fantastic. It's just the effects are phenomenal, and so much of that was visual effects that people don't realize. But what they did was they went and got historical maps to bring things to life. They didn't just create; they actually recreated and made things that had existed at one time alive again. And I just think that's phenomenal.
That is one show that I am very sad I have not seen yet, because I've heard it is one of the, if not the best show of the year.
Fantastic. And also they have a stellar dubbing track on Hulu. So you can actually watch it dubbed. It's actually not bad. So
really?
If you're somebody who doesnch love subtitles, the dubbing, I watched it. I started in subtitles and I went to dubbing because I'm just somebody who likes to watch faces, not words. And there's so much of it is in Japanese that it just made it more engaging for me, and man, it made a world of difference.
Would it look cool if they had a Kurosawa mode for it?
Sure. Or just goes black and white.
I'm curious. Yeah.
Just switch the settings on your TV to be black and white.
There you go. Take out the color. Absence of color is black and white. So best villain or badass. This is our category. We like.
Am I the only person who didn't know that was like a huge important bomb fact that was just dropped?
What's that?
And we're just going to move past it like it was nothing?
What?
To change your TV to do that.
TVs have been able to do that since the invention of TVs, when color came into the thing. So it's not really new. I mean, I knew you weren't around back in the 60s, but it's okay.
Weren't you just saying you were going to try not to interrupt anymore? And
I was, but I sat with it for a second and everyone was so nonchalant about it. And I was like, I've never felt
I got to 3-1000. That's what I got to.
Color TVs have been around and that setting's been able to be changed since Grey's Anatomy started, okay?
I genuinely had no idea.
Why do you think they called it Grey's Anatomy?
Grey's.
You guys are so stupid.
Why did I think of that one?
That was a funny joke. That was good.
All right. Let's move on to our next category. Best villain or badass. Amanda, you still have the floor.
Thank you for letting me retain my floor. My favorite badass is definitely going to be Agatha from Agatha All Along.
Oh, nice.
Here's my surprise face.
Yeah. Who's surprised? No one. She was so fun and just like ethereal at moments and creepy and mean and evil, but then also had these beautiful glimpses of where that hope we have for her to be kind and gentle and have compassion and stuff. And I just absolutely loved how ravaging her character is. And how for the most part, she's willing to let anything happen to anybody except for someone, And so I think that makes you a really great villain when you are able to have something inside you that looks good. Like where not all of you is evil. That makes you a great villain to me.
That's good. Mine's Homelander from The Boys. In my mind, there's just nobody better at being evil as Anthony Starr. And he makes that show, and I said it in our summer episode, the show is up and down. It was way too political, I think, or too close to politics for me this year. But overall, it's still a good show. And Homelander is what makes you want someone to die horribly. So that's my pick, and it's not close.
Aaron and I have talked about this ad nauseum about how great villains are the people that think they're doing the right thing and just can't get out of their way. And when I talk about the show with people, I say, like, this is like Game of Thrones, but if everybody lived inside of a tube. And on Silo, Tim Robbins at the start of season 2 has literally become Cersei Lannister incarnate.
Ooh.
It has just been fantastic to watch him.
Nice.
He's always been one of my favorite actors. And I always really liked his like Bill Gates-ish, Steve Jobs antitrust character in Antitrust, even though the movie's not that great, but his character is really interesting. This character he's playing in Silo as the head of IT is just another level right now. And I'm just like, how much darker is he going to go? Because, wow, this is really, really good stuff from Tim.
Following along that same line, I'm going to go with Ambessa from Arcane season 2. There's nothing redeemable about her. But she thinks she's doing the best she possibly can for the world. But she is an evil person, even though she thinks she's doing the best. So it's the same kind of idea. She's just nothing redeemable. Strong, powerful character. It's just great.
Good choice. All right, now we move into best supporting actor. Your best supporting, again, we don't break them into actor and actress. It's just actor. So it's either side.
So mine is going to be from Evil season 4. It's the last season of Evil. So if you want to catch up on that show and watch it, now is a good time to do so. They wrapped it up for a multitude of reasons as to why they were wrapping up that show, but they did great in how they wrapped it up. But Andrea Martin's sister, Andrea, has always been a joy for me to watch in that show. She's always the person that kind of walks in and sees everything for what it is and has no problem talking about it. And I like the spin that she adds to the show. It's pretty solid. So that's my pick.
For my supporting actor, and I don't know if this is going to get me in the whole, Roy Kento TV show debacle we had a few years ago for this.
Oh boy.
But because it's hard to tell like who's the actual like leads on Dark Matter. But I picked Jennifer Connelly as the supporting actor because she's not in a lot of the scenes, but when she's in the scenes that she's in, it's super impactful because she has to play different versions of the character, kind of like an Orphan Black situation with Tatiana Maslany, but not in that same way. It's just like sometimes in some things she's got a severe illness, and sometimes she's manic depressive. Sometimes she's like an art person. Sometimes she's a teacher. So like playing these different professions and statuses of illness throughout the series as he goes from universe to universe. I thought it was a really well done job for her. And then when you get back to the original Jennifer Connelly at the end of the first season, how she has to basically kind of jump in and take a lead format almost, I think is really impressive.
But is she a bug?
She's not a bug.
Okay.
She's Jennifer Connelly. Come on.
I don't understand that reference.
Remember, he said that the show's great and all that stuff, and there's a bug world, and I said, I'm sold on the bug world bit. Yeah, let me catch you back up. You're good.
Yeah, no, the humans do not turn into bugs. The bugs kill the humans in the bug world.
Okay.
Giant bugs, prehistoric, got like Mothra. You'd love it.
Oh, well, now I'm definitely sold.
Amanda, best supporting actor.
Other than Aaron, who has seen Landman?
Okay.
Anyone?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, so John Hamm is playing this big bad. Mm-hmm. And the reason I chose him for this category is because he is so good at it that I needed him to impress me by making me believe that Billy Bob Thornton would listen to him. And he does that. He has that power, that gravitas. And just that businessman. I mean, obviously he's played this role before, so it's not like it's anything new to him, but he's playing this very head honcho businessman that you can tell him speaking has influence that trickles immediately. And it was so fun to watch him in that.
Yeah, he's become a really interesting actor. I think, right after Mad Men, they were really trying to make him a leading man, and I think he's so much better in supporting roles. I mean, Fargo is a great example. He's just Bridesmaids. I mean, he's just a guy who can captivate and hold a scene without actually having to carry the whole show, you know. And he's not a bad guy, at least not so far. Other than the fact he's a billionaire, so I guess some people.
Well, I was going to say he's like an evil businessman.
But he's, I don't know if he's evil. He's just a businessman. I mean, he's just
what corporate billionaire isn't? Okay, and he's in the oil and gas industry.
Easy.
There's no way. You have to have a level of hardness.
Settle down, Hillary. All right, just calm down. I got you. Let's move on.
I'm just saying.
Just kidding.
Lots of people die. So I think it is a thing where as a leader in that, you probably become numb to some of those things and lose your emotional capacity.
I could see it.
And you seem more cold and heartless, which to me is evil.
Understood.
So that's how I got to where I got.
Well, my pick is Kristen Milioti from The Penguin.
That's
Milioti.
Yeah. Milioti, whatever. You say Christine Milioti from The Penguin. She is fantastic. She is fantastic as Sophia Falcone. I love the show, and I know some people are like, well, Colin Farrell is the best part of the show, and I would disagree. I just think she is. Kristen Milioti is the best part of that. Sophia is a character that goes up and down. She is borderline psychotic, but only because of the way she has been treated in her own family and her business ventures. And, you know, she gets manipulated to all kinds of degrees by the Penguin. And it's just, honestly, when the Emmys come next year, if she doesn't get a statue, I'm going to be pissed, because it's one of the rare occasions where I say, who do you have that's better? You don't. You have no one that's better than her. She was fantastic. She's better than Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell gets to vanish behind makeup and whatnot. I think that helps his performance. Not to take away from how fantastic he is. I just don't think he's the best on the show. I think she has every emotion and everything is thrown at her, and she handles everything with just fantastic range. I mean, she's just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
She's had some hits since the last 5 years or so, after she really started getting back into acting following How I Met Your Mother, doing some in there.
I didn't know she was on that show.
I feel like she's one of those up and coming actresses that we'll be on the lookout for. Because I remember seeing her in Made for Love, and I was like, this chick is awesome. I loved her in
that so much.
Yeah.
She is just great. Now I move on to Best Actor, and I get to hold the floor myself. And for that, my pick is not Colin Farrell. It is Jake Gyllenhaal from Presumed Innocent. I still think he had was it 8 or 10, whatever the number of episodes were. Every episode, I like him, love him, or hate him, and I can't decide which one all the way to the end. I still think he's the biggest prick that's ever been a leading man. I mean, he's up there with Walter White at different times. He is just a selfish jackass who, but also doesn't deserve what's happening to him. And, you know, there's a whole myriad of factors, but Jake Gyllenhaal proves once again, he's one of the most underappreciated actors out there.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, that's a solid choice. So I was going to cheat and go with Harrison Ford as an excuse to talk about how awesome Harrison Ford is, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with Jason Segel in Shrinking. I've loved this season of Shrinking so much that it's become probably one of my favorite shows of all time at this point. This last season had me crying every other episode, sometimes tears of joy, sometimes tears of self-reflection. And there was a couple episodes which this never happens to me. If I'm watching something by myself, I don't really laugh out loud about anything. I just do the internal chuckle, or that's mildly amusing chuckle kind of thing. That's about it. But this show had me laughing out loud several times with Jason Segel and what he does. And I see myself so many times in how he's living his life as that character.
All right. Well, mine is from a show I just talked about, which is Landman.
Oh, thank God it wasn't Grey's Anatomy. Okay.
No. Could you imagine?
No, I cannot.
Especially Billy was the Bob actor Thornton that you were talking about earlier.
Oh, God. Billy Bob Thornton, huh?
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton in Landman, I love him here.
So good.
Because he's not, yes, he's still a dick and he's still funny in the way he says his sarcastic remarks, but he's also feels so authentic in that role. Like it feels like he really is this leading, I guess, supervisor, manager, site manager for this oil and gas rigging site. And the impact that he has from all of these different things happening still reflects in him, but he still has the ability to retain who he is as a person when he's interacting with others and he feels like something isn't right or he doesn't want to deal with them. Just that Clint Eastwood vibe, I guess, is what I get from him. And I just have really been enjoying him in this show. I've liked him in stuff before, but I can't say I've always felt so much like he's done it too much. Like he's always done the extreme version of his acting where it's like, okay, this is just a little extra. But now I feel like he's just really leaning into that, but also balancing it with seeming very humanistic.
Yeah, I know Taylor Sheridan wrote this in Billy Bob Thornton's voice, famously. That's what Billy Bob Thornton has told people in interviews. And you can tell. I mean, it just feels like this was tailor-made for Billy Bob Thornton.
That's terrible.
I'm not ashamed of that. And it's just fantastic. It really, he's so good at that. I mean, that show has been so involving that I went and watched. I'm starting to watch Goliath now on Prime, which is a Billy Bob Thornton show that he used to have, where he's a lawyer and he's basically Billy Bob Thornton. It's just he plays it well. He plays a dick very well, and it's always fascinating to me. Like he's such a small guy, but he packs a lot of punch. You know what I mean?
Agree.
He is a tiny guy. He wears women's jeans very famously. He talks about it a lot where he's like, I wear women's jeans because I can't get stuff in my size.
He's a tiny dude. Tiny dude.
It's amazing. Love that for him. Mine is surprisingly Tim Robbins in Silo. His character in season 2 has taken the character.
So you got him in 2 categories, huh? Best badass and best actor. Okay.
He has done some shit in this season so far, and we're not even done with the season yet, so I cannot wait to see where it goes. Rebecca Ferguson obviously knocked it out of the park in season 1, and Tim really doesn't get introduced till like later on in season 1 in a deep way. But his season 2 character and the stuff he's doing right now, woo, like yeah, like bring it. I'm here. I'm here for it.
I need to start that one over. Give it another whirl, but I got to start fresh because I can't remember what happened other than
and the first 2 episodes of that one are critically important.
Deal. Best specific moment on TV, and this means like a specific moment that occurred in a TV show or event.
Ooh, floor's still mine. I think this one should be a no-brainer. The presumed innocent reveal. I was super close, and then when it was like, what? And I was blown away. I was blown away by that reveal. It was so good.
Well, it's not a gimme because I got that one. So, haha.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Sorry. But mine was Mariko's final step in her plan. I won't tell you what that was because if you haven't watched Shogun, I think it's a great reveal. It was very shocking. Took me completely by surprise. And Anna Sawai was fantastic. I almost had her for best supporting actor, but I could not put her over Milioti.
Mine is going to be Arcane season 2, the moment in which Vi and Jinx have their big fight and come together essentially near the end of it. It had so much, as far as how beautiful the fight was with the way they did it, it was artistically done in such a fashion that I wish I could think on the level these people are thinking at. And as far as the emotion and the emotive feelings behind everything, try to convince me that you can't be emotive with animation, and I will use this to be like, no, you absolutely can. It's beautiful. It hits hard and it's great.
So mine comes from one of my favorite shows of the year, which is Agatha All Along. And I choose this moment partly because of
I choose you.
itself.
Sorry.
But also because I think it's great whenever I get to see a character or an actor break out of their character stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
So Catherine Hahn is very much known for her humor and for just being that funny girl and adding comedic spice to pretty much every scene she's in. And Agatha as a character is intentionally sour, I guess is the word I'm going to go with. And the moment in that show she thinks someone she cares about is going to die, she completely transforms into this other person. It feels like you can see the transition within Catherine Hahn. And I really, really loved that moment because I feel like it was, one, so great for that show in the character's arc, but also because I loved seeing that component from Catherine Hahn. She broke me. There was a moment in that scene, and I'm having a hard time speaking about it because I don't want to spoil it. It's still recent stuff, but just the way that emotionally impacted her, thinking that she was going to experience this loss, and that it wasn't even selfish about her feelings either. We all have that to some degree, but it was also just she wanted to help someone other than herself.
Okay, so now we move on to our Justin McCumber Award. Now, what that is, if you don't know, if you're not a longtime listener, you never heard us mention him, Justin McCumber is a former host of ours who passed away. And he famously was one of the first people to discover a little movie called Coherence. And he arranged for an interview with the director, etc. And kind of brought a lot more attention to that film, which was back in our heyday, which was great. Absolutely love that about him. But he did pass away, so we named this award for him. So this is your personal pick for a little scene or discussed TV series that just completely won you over, and you hope more people find it in the new year. So Amanda, we're still on you.
So mine is Supercell. I know some people started to kind of catch on to it, but I still feel like it's not as widely seen as I think it should be. And those that have seen it really, really liked it also. And it is about a group in South London who start developing superpowers, but the only thing that connects the individuals amongst each other that they can identify is that they're all Black. And so they're dealing with the impact of their powers. And there's this one main character that's trying to bring them all together. And it's, to me, it's also using kind of the same formulas that we've been seeing in some of the Marvel shows and seeing in, The Boys, things like that, where these characters are coming together. And now we have this really great group of individuals that we start to care about and care about their storylines. And so I really hope more people watch Supercell. I found it on Netflix, so I would encourage you to watch it.
Okay. I am going to, I think it's me, right? Yeah. Okay. Monsieur Spade, which is on Netflix and AMC Plus, and it follows Clive Owen as Sam Spade from The Maltese Falcon and other books and movies, who is basically a retired widower out in France now. And he has to solve a years old case that he really doesn't want to. And it ends up being kind of a little bit of a convoluted situation. But I just really enjoyed Clive Owen's take on Sam Spade and what he brought to that character. It's definitely a mystery, but it's more about what happens to this hard-edged detective years later when he doesn't have all the connections and necessarily he doesn't have quite the skills he used to because he's aging. And I just thought it was a really fun show. It's 6 episodes. Again, great character work across the board. And there's a lot of red herrings and little twists along the way.
I think that's really cool because I don't think you like Clive Owen, don't you?
I'm not a Clive Owen fan. Nope.
Yeah, that says a lot to me.
Amazing. Mine was Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus. Feel like if you were an Apple TV Plus watcher, this one was on your radar. If you weren't an Apple TV Plus watcher, which a lot of people aren't because it's a small service, you would never have heard about the show. It's a great book. The first season covers the entire book, but where they leave the TV series definitely has potential for multiple seasons to continue. And I think they are talking about it. And I think season 2 was actually picked up. So I'm actually curious to see where they're going to go because the show was actually that good. So highly recommend picking up Dark Matter. If you have not, 7-day free trial on Apple TV Plus for it. Totally worth it. And you can watch Presumed Innocent at the same time.
There you go. Perfect.
Great. So my pick is something that I actually, and this is why I think this is a perfect section to put this in for, because I actually forgot I watched this show this year. I knew I watched it. I didn't know when it came out, but it turns out it was this last year. It's Bodkin on Netflix. It's a great little whodunit that Netflix put out. It kind of tells the story, or that doesn't kind of. It tells the story of podcasters trying to write a story about a murder, and it really has a lot of heart. It's great storytelling. The acting is fantastic. So I really enjoyed it, and I hope that more people pick it up because I do want to see more of these characters tell their story.
All right. Well, now we get to move into our top 10. This is where everybody gets to drop their top 10. Don't spend 4 hours going through your top 10. Please just go through your 10 to 1. And if there are certain ones that are on each other's lists, the highest ranking will be the person that kind of elaborates, where we can discuss it a little further if we want to. So there we go. Again, regular limited series, both count here. The only rule is the show had to have at least 3 new episodes in 2024. And I already told you why Reacher's not going to be on mine because it was on mine last year. So let's start with you, John. What are your top 10 TV shows, limited or regular, on 2024? It includes streaming too, but obviously.
So my top 10 shows are as follows from 10 to 1. So it's going to be Fallout is my number 10. Lioness season 2, which is a show I just discovered this year. I didn't discover it, but I got into it this year. Presumed Innocent season 1. Can't tell you enough good things about this because Troy has already done most of that. True Detectives, Night Country, such a great watch. The amount of just atmosphere and the whodunit aspect of this show is great. And American Nightmare, Gone Girl Story on Netflix was a great docuseries that they did. They really went into a story that I had known from watching Dateline a lot. So it was nice to see this other side, and actually nice to see the victims of the story tell their story. Day of the Jackal is a great series. It just came out on Peacock that I really got into. Doctor Who, the most recent season with Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, he's the new Doctor right now. Oh my God, he's great. I love him as a doctor. He's got a lot of heart. He has a lot of feeling, and he's having the best time of his life doing this show. The Legend of Vox Machina, these next 3 are like which ones made me cry this year. And it seems crazy, but Legend of Vox Machina season 3 really hit me in the feels. Arcane season 2 hit me in the feels. And then Shrinking season 2, I needed therapy after that one. It was so good.
It's a good list. I haven't gone back to Shrinking. That's one that I would like to go back to. But,
with your love of Harrison Ford, you would be having the best time in your life.
I liked the first season, but I didn't love it. It was good enough. But I've heard great things.
There's a lot more Harrison in season 2.
Well, it takes more than just Harrison Ford. I mean,
got to be drinking vodka at the same time.
Exactly. It's got to be an alcoholic. Amanda, your turn. Top 10.
So my 10th for 2024 is Griselda.
Such a good show. It was good.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
That one's on Netflix if you want to check it out. My number 9 is Cold Case, Who Killed John Benet Ramsey, mostly because it was how I digested the information of the case, because I really did not know anything about it before. And then we did an episode on it to cover that and the facts of the case on our other podcast, Inspired by a True Story. And that's really what got me into watching it. So otherwise, I don't know if I would have watched it, at least not that quickly.
It was very fun doing that episode and hearing Amanda act like this just happened.
Yeah.
John and I are just like, what? This happened 30 years ago. And she's like, what happened? They never found the killer? What?
Yep. Number 8, Fallout. Number 7, Man on the Inside.
Good show.
That one was a lot of fun. And it also had so much heart to it. I really liked that. Number 6, House of the Dragon. I'm sorry. I still liked it a lot. I just didn't think it was as great as, Game of Thrones seasons or the first season was. Presumed Innocent was my number 5. And my top 4, Bridgerton.
All right.
Don't you dare.
I'm happy for you. You love that show. It's all good.
Her top 4 do not surprise me.
Number 3 is Landman.
Good.
Number 2 is Nobody Wants This.
Elaborate.
Amazing.
Elaborate that. That's Kristen Bell and Adam Brody, right? As
yes.
She is podcaster and he's like a rabbi or something.
Yes.
I never watched
exactly. And they decide to start dating. And it's the chaos of that and other, baggage that people start with. But for me personally, this one hit me so deep because Kristen Bell played a character that I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be Veronica Mars. And at the same time in my life that I'm watching Veronica Mars, I'm obsessed with the OC, which has Adam Brody, who's the guy I wanted to be with. So then I get a show where these two characters, the character I always wanted to be or felt like I could be, and the character I always wanted to be with, those two actors are now in this show together, dating and in love. And it's such a beautiful story for their journey and adventure. And it's really funny. I loved it so much. I did multiple rewatches.
Amanda, all the reasons you said is why this was one of my favorite shows of the year too. And I just have to say, I watched the kiss at the end of episode 2.
Oh my gosh.
So many times because I was like having some kind of like, I hate to say it, orgasmic experience, but like watching the two of them kiss, it was like my 2 growing up childhood, like, I don't know, heartthrob. Like I loved Seth on the OC and I loved Kristen Bell and Veronica Mars, and like the two of the chemistry they had in this show was like Leighton Meester has to be like really angry at Kristen Bell now because like Leighton Meester and Adam have had a great marriage so far, survived the Hollywood stuff. And I'm like, if I'm Leighton Meester, I'm like, I'm watching you, Belle. I'm watching you.
The only reason these two were able to do this together is because I think they're both in very secure relationships with partners they very much love. But goddamn, they brought their own relationship energy to their on-screen relationship because
hot.
Yeah, I never would have expected the two of them to vibe like that in general.
Okay.
Oh, so good. Number 1 for me, Agatha All Along.
Figured that was coming. That one's not a surprise based on earlier.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, hang on.
Shocked,
hang on. Let me rub my face so I can get it shockish. By the way, childhood icons or whatever, Troy, aren't you older than both of them?
But I mean, like when the core of like watching TV, like the core of my watching TV experience, like was,
going
through the like broadcasting school and stuff. It's like the OC was the music and Veronica Mars was the spunky and the mystery, Nancy Drew. And it was like, those two shows on at the same time, like, and then Gossip Girl right alongside that with Leighton Meester. So I was just like, oh, the trifecta.
All right. Your turn, Troy. Your top 10.
This will probably shock a lot of people. And the reason for putting the Acolytes on here at number 10 wasn't because it was a great show, but because I loved what they tried to do with trying to explain that with, great power comes great responsibility, and absolute power corrupts absolute responsibility, corrupts absolutely. And just the concept of like, are the Jedi really the good guys? Like that concept of this show I thought was really great. And it was just not well executed in the keep your attention phase. But that concept of who is right and who is wrong when it comes to the Force, I thought was fascinating to me. Number 9, Star Trek Discovery final season. Wasn't the greatest season in the world, but I really like what they did with it and how they explored what the future potential could be and how the end of the journey of Discovery was actually finding the source of creation. I thought that was a cool concept. Only Murders in the Building. Aaron and me both have this about the same spot, I believe. It wasn't the best season in the world. I laughed hysterically with the Zaz hands joke.
There's a lot of good in it still, though. There's a lot of good.
There is. Yeah. There's a lot of fun, right? It just wasn't as like, wow, like season 1 and 2 were.
It feels like some show that's been on for 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I just want to know, like, did they name Saz in the first season because they knew this joke was coming in season 4? Because it was like, when he went Saz hands, I was like, oh my God, that is like the worst joke ever. And so funny at the same time. Cobra Kai number 7, 2 parts have aired, where the second part ends is devastating. Really great job there. 6 was Nobody Wants This. I watched it in 2 days only because I had to go to bed. From at number 5, finished its 3rd season. Not as strong as the first 2, but where they set up for the 4th season is pretty in the lines of where Lost ended season 3. So I'm in for it. 4, 3 Body Problem came out of nowhere. Didn't know anything about the show. Started watching it and I'm like, this is cool. And it was like 3 shows in one. It was like a gift that kept giving. If you haven't seen 3 Body Problem, totally recommend. 3 was Dark Matter, obviously talked about that enough already. 2, Silo, talked about that enough already. 1, thoroughly enjoyed Presumed Innocent more than I thought I would. I thought Silo would be number 1, but it came so late in the year that Presumed Innocent took my top spot this year. And let me tell you, that show is just, all the actors in that were so good. So like everybody was just dripping like ooze and gravitas, and you know, when he has the heart attack, it's like, oh my God, like he does heart attack so well. Like nobody else can do a heart attack like that.
And you know, if for people that don't know, it's an Apple TV show. I don't know if we've mentioned what it is, but it's a guy who's seemingly framed
for murder.
For murder. And he turns out to have had a relationship with a victim and da-da-da-da. And it goes on from there, and it's 8 episodes. A lot of it sounds very formulaic, but it takes a lot of cool twists and turns as it goes. And really,
especially the connectedness of all the people involved.
Yeah.
Like workers, clients, DA, like the power of the DA's office. And there's just a lot of subplots in there that you just don't pick up on until you actually go along the journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Good lists all the way. So far, my top 10. Number 10 is True Detective Night Country. Jodie Foster is one of my favorite actresses of all time, and she crushes it yet again in that show. And just brought that show back to life as far as I'm concerned, because after season 1, the past 2 seasons have just been kind of Under the Bridge is on Hulu. I love Under the Bridge. It was a show about a girl that was murdered and basically trying to find justice for that girl, but also about how people look at those in lower class situations. And there's a lot of, you know, you're stuck at this level because you were born here kind of writing to it. And it really is a much deeper story than just a murder mystery, which is why I liked it so much. Only Murders in the Building. Trey already talked to that. I agree with everything he said. The Penguin is one I'm kind of surprised it's only on my list, but I also think people kind of have comic book burnout still, honestly. And I get why a lot of people haven't watched it, but I hope more people do find it. It's on Max. It's a great show. It really surprised me. Colin Farrell does a fantastic job. He's just not better than Kristen Milioti. So he's trying to focus on the villain of the Batman and kind of how he rises in Gotham City. And then you've got High Potential, which is my new favorite procedural, and that's on Hulu on ABC. And it's basically Psych. If you ever watch Psych, it's Psych with a woman who has a very high intellect, and she's brought on to help break cases, and it's just fun. Caitlin Olsen is the whole reason that show works. Shogun, already talked about it, but it's fantastic. I mean, outside, it would be much higher if it wasn't for the one white actor in the show who's terrible. He's not a good actor. And he kind of, every time he speaks, he kind of brings it down just a little bit, and he's kind of pivotal. Everyone else is fabulous. It's weird how they got that one casting wrong. I think it's Cosmos Jones or whatever his name is. Cross at number 4. Love Aldous Hodge. I love him, and seeing him bring Alex Cross to life on TV and kind of save that character from falling away, I think is great, because he's a shrink who's also a cop. Great little crime thriller. Fallout. John already talked about Fallout, but Fallout is based on a video game that I don't care about. It's based in a world I don't care about. It has Walton Goggins under makeup, which is a crime in my opinion, but he does a great job with it. And it ends up being just a really fabulous, interesting, intriguing world that I really, really enjoyed. Presumed Innocent is number 2. Already talked about that. And my number 1, Bad Monkey. The further I get from the show, the more I love this show. I absolutely adored this. It just got renewed for season 2. I was stoked for that because I want Vince Vaughn to come back and play Andrew Yancey one more time, where he's an ex-cop who's now a food inspector and a restaurant inspector, so to speak, and he still can't stop solving crimes and getting in his own way. He's just funny, and it's a really, really kind of quirky show. I love it.
Yeah, I started it. I wanted to finish it, but I just haven't been driven to go back to it. But I did enjoy it. It's not anything against the show. I've just been busy. Good.
Both good things. Good that you're busy and good that you're enjoying the show. And if you want to hear more busy, because we do stuff. We're busy. Go to patreon.com. Horrible transition. Go to patreon.com/The Hollywood Outsider. We have a lot of bonus content there. And anything that is available in the tier that you sign up for will be you'll immediately have access to it. Like we have Bad Movie Night where we talk about bad movies that we think are actually kind of good and why we like them, as well as we have bonus episodes and we take listener questions, etc. So there's a lot on the bonus side. So thank you.
Let me redo that one for you. So speaking of busy, your life is super busy. And so when you're on the go, you can hear us all the time with all the extra content that we do on Patreon. That's Patreon/The Hollywood Outsider. There's your transition for you.
You can also just fuck right off. Let's go into movies.
Who knew Troy could do something in a shorter amount of time than Aaron?
I could do lots of things in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a joke there too.
That's what his wife said. Oh
I walked right into that one. I felt it coming as I said it.
What? All right,
Nobody else did.
Let's go into movies. We're going to start with the most absurd or frustrating movie for whatever your reason. Still on me. My choice. No, it's not Carry On, although that would definitely qualify if you heard last episode.
That would qualify.
God, that was terrible. Megalopolis is the pick for me, and I'm going to tell you why. You have Francis Ford Coppola, he's one of the most renowned directors in history, and this movie is terrible. You can defend it all you want. You can say you see the art in it all you want. You're lying to yourself. It's a terrible movie. He doesn't know what he's doing with this thing. It's all over the place. Nothing is coherent. I love when he justifies and he basically tells people who don't like it that they just don't get it. No, Coppola, sometimes you just did it wrong. This thing, I'd rather watch fucking Carry On again. Honestly, I just have no interest in that movie ever again. That's my pick.
I'm gonna have to go with Joker, Full Ado. I don't understand in the age of Warner Brothers, who decided to shelve stuff that was probably way better than this just to get the tax write-off to make the money on it. Mm-hmm. Maybe they said, Joker made $1 billion. Even if this is shit, we can still make up the difference between the two movies. We're still ahead. So that's why they decided to put this piece of crap out there. But it was a piece of crap. It really was. It was an awful movie going experience and kind of shat on the first movie because of it. So I don't understand what Zaslav was thinking about putting this out there, but they did. It's there. And if you want to dissect it into the whole, what was actually happening here with the director and what he was trying to say with the movie, that might be the only way it actually has saving grace.
Can we just agree that Todd Phillips, who did the Hangover movies as well, is banned from doing sequels ever again?
Yes.
Well, no, I don't think that's a fair statement, because I know there was that whole analysis on what Todd Phillips was trying to do with the movie. I think Todd Phillips did it on purpose. So I think he's actually a brilliant director for that.
I think that's.
I don't care. The movie still sucks.
Yeah, if the movie sucks, I don't care what he was trying to do, or if he was even trying to do that. I think that's just somebody's opinion trying to justify why it turned out so terrible.
It sucks so bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. But anyway, Amanda, your turn. Sorry.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your guys' assessment. I struggled with that movie, which is unfortunate. But I struggled with another movie, even more, that could have been maybe pretty cool. Subservience. Megan Fox. Jesus. She was great. She was a robot. Okay.
Like an actual robot,
she
or
was
just
great.
acted the same way she normally does?
Yes.
Both.
Maybe she actually deserves Best Actor award, because she was very robotic.
You should get Best Megan at least.
I could have really liked this movie, but there was so much just, what the fuck are we talking about here? And The writing was terrible. The direction was, I mean, if all things considered, had they had a better story, could have been fine, could have been good, because it looked like a good movie. Megan Fox, like I said, she did great as this sexual robot that became obsessive and was trying to basically, she becoming humanized and having emotions to some degree. And you could see that through their actions and their own, I guess, feelings too, that they would express. So I could have really liked this movie, but it was just so dumb constantly. Just all those, what are you doing moments? What are we doing here right now watching this? So I really struggled with it. That one was really stupid.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, you're describing Megan Fox. On the other hand, you're telling exactly what Megan Fox does for every movie. So it's weird. But anyhow.
Oh, come on. She's a thespian.
She's a thespian.
I stand corrected. So my movie that like I just couldn't. It was from Netflix also. Trigger warning. I wanted to really go into this enjoying this movie, but it pushed me in every because I love the cast. Jessica Alba's back on screen. You got the guy from Night Agent on screen. All these other people that I can't really remember their names right now, but they're all on screen and they're doing some good stuff.
There's nothing better when someone has got a great cast and then can't name any of them but one.
That's me and John consistently.
Jesus.
That show with those people, you know?
It's like Blockbuster in 1996.
The movie ultimately ended up being frustrating and very hard to watch for me, and that's why I put it here in this category.
It belongs in this category. That's a good pick. That's a terrible plot. Remember when they bust out in a trailer in the middle of the army compound and there's no army people apparently working there?
Yeah. Nobody at all.
Great plot.
The iguana that has to be in every other shot that doesn't pay off at all.
Nothing pays off. All right. So best physical effects or stunts. I wonder if this is going to be a 4-for-all.
It's not. I have access to the format where their notes are in there.
Son of a bitch. All right. Thanks for ruining everything. Could have had a real one word
with it.
You could actually just say it so we could have a 4-for-all and then do your honorable mention. You know, it'd be fine.
No, just you do you, Amanda.
Hold on,
let's make it all about you.
Turn.
Let's make it all about you. Let's go.
So Deadpool and Wolverine. Hard for me to dispute the stunts that they have in there, especially particular. I mean, they have a lot of great fights, but for me, and I'll talk about this more later.
His abs are not stunts. All right. That is just hard work.
They're just hard, period.
The multi-Deadpool fight scene.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
It stands out to me so much, and I'll talk about it as one of my favorite scenes of the year, but that I think is a great representation of why it deserves to be in this category.
Good deal.
You didn't want to put that in your best use of CGI?
No. They're still moving around.
We're not at that category yet. Spoiler alert.
Jeez.
Well,
there's a lot of stunt work. You don't get that. Are you going to mansplain to her what stunts are? Is that what we're doing right now?
You bet. That whole scene is more CGI than stunt work.
There's a lot of stunt work. You have not seen the shot.
A lot of coordination to get the CGI to fall in the right spots. Yeah.
All right, fine.
Wow. But stuff that uses practical effects and just amazingness is the Fall Guy.
Yes.
True.
All three of us picked this one. All three.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Fall Guy was. It's literally what the movie's about. So it makes sense that this should be in the category.
They broke a freaking world record for barrel rolls in this one.
Totally.
That's kind of cool. Maybe I should change my pick. I think I am changing my pick, actually.
No, your pick was fine.
You can do a 4-for-all.
Your pick is fine. No.
Your pick was my runner-up, and I didn't really love the movie. So
wait a minute. This is hysterical because she is doing a reverse honorable mention this way.
Kind of.
No, I'm not.
No, she's not.
But I think there's just a part of me that has a little bit of disdain for the Fall Guy. Like, even when I was watching it, I was a little angry. Sure. And it was mostly just thinking about how I spent like 3 or 4 hours waiting in a line and didn't even get into the movie and then got to hear about how great it was. So I think there's just it's hard for me to even like put it in any categories. So I think I have a bias.
The worst part was she wasn't even in the part of the line where you got to see Ryan Gosling and Emma Blunt pull up in the Fall Guy truck, which was,
But Aaron did.
Yeah.
He got to get pictures.
Sure did. I got a picture of it.
And I'm pretty sure it was his fault that I was there. But it's okay.
I don't think so.
I don't think
He's
so.
like, you don't need to get there that early. I was like, I feel like I need to get there that early.
Yeah,
I feel like I need
fair.
to skip this other movie
That's
so
fair.
I can get there early. And he said, nah, because I didn't get an express pass, but he did. So it's all Aaron's fault, actually.
Either way.
Yeah, so you should have a bias against Aaron.
Aaron enjoyed the hell out of it. It was a great time. All right, so
screw Aaron.
best, and also that is the movie that should have been a bigger hit throughout the year. It is the one blockbuster that I think was robbed, and I think they premiered it too early. The actual release date was in too early. That's really a superhero slot. It doesn't work for movies that build on word of mouth. Should have been in middle of summer. I think this would have been a big hit.
July.
Yep.
4th of July. If they would have released it around there.
I think it would have been a much bigger hit.
So good.
Hit. All right. It's on Prime now, by the way. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch The Fall Guy. Fantastic. All right. Best use of CGI in any film.
So this one, many people may not know about, but it's a little movie called Flow. And it is probably the best CGI, best animated combo movie with a great story that has absolutely zero dialogue the entire time. I don't know if that's really fair to say, because there's animal noises, which could be considered dialogue, but it's not English speaking words. So
I think
in
they
that
wrote
case,
grunt in the script.
Yeah. Bark, growl, things
I've
of that
heard
nature.
Nothing but great things about this movie. Yeah.
It is so good and so spiritually moving and just beautiful. And it's weird because the CGI is in some places picture perfect and in some places looks like PS3 graphics. And for some reason, the contrast of that on the background and foreground just works so well that you kind of like overlook it. And I think that's why it's got to win the CGI award, because the entire movie is CGI. So
it's a good pick. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I've heard great things. So that makes sense. Mine is going to be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's just, my God. I don't understand. These movies do such a great job of making them look like real talking apes, and give them such human emotions, and they're so emotive. They're so just seamless, honestly. There's no point where I feel like it's an uncanny valley where I'm lost and I'm like, that took me out of the movie. I feel like I'm always in the movie, and it continued with that one. I didn't love the movie enough to put it in my top 10, but it's up there. If I had 20 choices, it'd definitely be in there. But the effects, I can't think of a movie that did effects better.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and stay with the monkey theme, but no surprise to anybody else that I'm going to find a reason to bring this one up. Godzilla and Kong. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I've rewatched it a couple times this year, and every single time I enjoy the storytelling that's just happening with the monsters. Not even the storytelling that's happening with the characters that are running around being next to useless, but the monsters themselves are doing a lot of great storytelling, and they're being wildly emotive without speaking a single word, and it's fantastic.
I take issue with excellent storytelling, but it's a fun movie. Won't you admit, they have gone from being a very grounded looking franchise to now it's just a cartoon. This new one looked like a cartoon.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, fair enough. You're right. It looked real. So real.
Looked good enough to me.
Yep.
I don't see no cartoon things. I mean, we're going from a rubber suit to this. I'm going to go say this is good.
Okay.
You know what else is good?
What?
The Wild Robot.
Yeah.
The Wild Robot is great.
That was pretty close to me too. Yeah.
It is the most handmade CGI animated film in decades. Every single piece of the movie has a brush stroke that was rendered by a human hand, according to Chris Sanders.
No shit.
Who's the writer and director of it. And I think awesome. To me, when you start to make groundbreaking work, it's hard to compete with that. And it looked amazing.
And that was my runner up. So you know how good Flow is then, because you know how good the Wild Robot was.
Mm.
And actually, I only watched that. I've heard good things about it, but I remember Troy saying, just give it a shot. If you loved Inside Out too, give it a shot. And I did. And, the first 15, 20 minutes, you're watching it going, okay, this is the animation is fantastic. And then the emotion starts kicking in. And it's just like, wow, this is so much better than I expected.
Right.
So much better. All right. Now we get to go to best villain or badass.
All right. So I'm going to go way out in left field for badass because this year, Reggie finally got his comeuppance. And Reggie was the biggest badass on screen this year. So that's Reggie's from Bad Boys 4. He deserves it. He's awesome.
I'm with you 100%. It just cracks me up that they went from one of my favorite scenes in Bad Boys 2, where they're like, "You ever made love to a man? You want to?" That whole scene where they just trashed that poor kid. To now he is a bigger badass than any of them, and I think that's awesome. That's like real character arc right there.
Oh, and you brought up a couple of days ago. You brought up in our chat about how there's a cut scene at the very end of the credits. I went back and I watched it, and it's hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love so much that John had zero idea about this. Several months after he had seen it.
I didn't either. I didn't realize that there was an after credits, and that's when I found it and went, "Oh my god, that is a riot."
Yeah, absolutely hysterical. So if you haven't seen Bad Boys and you're planning on seeing it, hang out till after the credits for that great cut scene. I won't ruin it here. And if you have seen it, see it again, and we'll hang out till then.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now. So my pick for best villain or badass. I was going to go with Reggie, but then I was like, nah, because you got Aaron Pierre from Rebel Ridge, who, as Terry Richmond, was fantastic and created the next action hero. And I know he's going to be on Lanterns, but that dude is awesome. Not only is he articulate, intelligent, and educated, like he's not just doing Rambo shit in Rebel Ridge, even though it's kind of the same plot. He actually plays it a lot smarter, and he's playing more of a long game. And I love his performance in that film. I think he immediately becomes a guy that I would watch do a trilogy of these in a heartbeat. That's hard for me to do when I've already got so many things to watch. But I was like, bring more, bring more, bring more. So loved him in that.
Mine is Jesse Plemons as the uncredited man in Civil War.
Makes me shiver. What a dick.
7 minutes of sheer fucking terror.
Yeah.
That I don't know if I could ever watch again because it was that good. I mean, just the red glasses and everything. Just, so good. So good. I can't say enough. You have to witness it for yourself. I can't talk about it. Like, you have to experience it.
That is a great pick, man. Great pick.
Mine is from a movie called Hitman. And I don't know what it is about Glenn Powell, but he just has it. He just has it. He is so fun to watch. He's so cool. It's awesome when he's a badass. He looks good doing it. He sounds cool doing it. I just love him, and I loved him in that.
That's a good choice. And that was a really good movie. It really was.
Such a good movie.
Although I would argue, I don't know if he's really a badass because he kind of pretends to be a badass. But I think he's effective at pretending to be a badass.
Yeah, doesn't that make him even more of a badass because he convinces everybody around him?
I think it does.
And then he gets to, you guys, as I told you earlier, I'm a big fan of people who might seem really evil or not good, but then have that goodness inside them. Because I really do believe that everyone has goodness in them. And I love when people like highlight that inside.
Sure. All right, Amanda, you still have the floor. We're on Best Supporting Actor of all the movies in 2024. Who you got?
Gonna go to this little movie that came to the theaters called Heretic.
Oh, so
Sophie
good.
Thatcher.
Really?
Oh, I loved her in that. When I think
good.
back to that movie, sometimes I forget that Hugh Grant was the lead actor. Because every moment that she was there, I was captivated.
Good pick.
I felt like this is absolutely no slight to her counterpart, but I felt like she was the stronger presence between the sisters. And so for me, I rooted for both of them, but I was constantly rooting for her to use her wits and her words, or her lack of words, I mean, to make things happen, to do things. I was just waiting for all of those great moments with her. And I loved her ability to speak with the very selective vocabulary and at very selective moments.
Excellent. Excellent choice. John?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot where I was. I thought we were still in the best villain badass section.
Were you not listening for the last 5 minutes of Amanda talking?
I listen to Amanda all the time.
What's new?
Yeah.
So my choice is going to be, it's going to be weird because in some degree, the movie's kind of named after his character. So you would assume that his character is the main character, but I don't see it that way. And it's going to be Nicolas Cage's character in Longlegs.
Yeah, I would agree.
He is terrifying, and it's Nicolas Cage playing it to his absolute Nick Cage best. He's not in the movie very much, but he is so creepy and so good that he makes that movie worth it.
I completely concur, and he was actually my choice, for summer, I think. And then I saw a little movie called Amelia Perez, and Zoe Saldana impressed the hell out of me. Now, you might think she's the lead. She's not the lead. They're putting her up for Best Actress, but I think she's only in like 50 minutes of the movie or something like that, and it's not a short movie. But she is a lawyer who helps a cartel leader change their life. And the movie is that story, which is dark, right? And has a very heavy heart. It's also a musical. It's also kind of there are comedic elements to it. And Zoe Saldana, who I've never heard sing, never seen dance, is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I thought she was the heart of the entire movie, even though the movie is actually a really strong, interesting, intriguing, intelligent way to tell a trans story, so that people outside of, it's not telling the same story that you've seen 1,000 times where someone, is just all pain. Like this is a different way to tell it. It's about someone trying to live their truth, and it's a fascinating tale, and where it goes is kind of unexpected. But Zoe Saldana, the entire time, like whenever she shows up, she just keeps things alive. And when there's a song, she can sing, she can dance, she can act. I loved her.
I would have to go with Jesse Plemons once again.
It's going to be a sweep, isn't it?
Without Jesse Plemons in that scene, it sets a whole tone for the movie in a completely different way, and as to what is happening as part of this civil war. And like you come out of that film feeling completely different after seeing that 7 minutes. And because of that, like you almost could win an Oscar for that performance, in my opinion. It's so disturbingly good and disturbingly awful and creepy, and really says a lot about state of America, to be honest.
Can't argue with that one, man. 'Cause that's, again, he was phenomenal in that scene. Best actor, still with you, Troy.
I mean, hands down. Like,
it can't be Jesse Plemons again, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
No, because he's only in the 7 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
Unless we're going a different movie he might have been in this year, but I didn't know the one he was in. So I do not follow the popularity of the singing. I do not follow the popularity of this person, their media influence, what have you. Like, thought she was kind of weird. And then I saw one of the most popular movies of the year as she sang the song Popular, and Ariana Grande just blew me away. Comedic timing, singing, delivery, panache, pizzazz, the whole, like, literally was like encapsulated my entire vision and world for that entire 2 hours and 40 minutes of Wicked. Ariana Grande could do no wrong after that movie to me.
I can't disagree with that at all. She was wonderful. She really was.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
She was. My pick is actually from a movie this is a difficult one for me, because the movie I thought was amazing until the last 15 minutes, which ruined what happened before. So it kind of took a movie that was easily going to be in my top 10 and took it to where it wouldn't hit my top 20. And that's sad to me, because there's so much potential. It's a great story. And that's from The Substance, Demi Moore.
Mm-hmm.
She was so fantastic and put herself out there so much in so many different ways. she was vulnerable, she was exposed, and she headed right into it. She didn't shy away from it. She didn't, in case you don't know what it is, she's an aging actress she wasn't, aging entertainer, right? She did like fitness videos and things like that. And she was aging out of that business. And so she comes across a substance that allows her to basically, for an exchange of 1 week of her life, she gets to live in a younger body, essentially a duplicate of her, a clone of her, so to speak, at a younger age, and firmer, and played by Margaret Qualley. And Demi Moore throughout the movie is playing this character so beautifully, and it's she's obviously vain. She's hurting. It's a struggle for her. It's like her whole world has been upended and everything else, with nothing more. Nothing has changed with her except she's getting older. And it's a really hard story. Now, some people say, well, this story's never been told. Well, you've never seen Death Becomes Her, but whatever. But it's a great movie to me, but the last 15 minutes are terrible. It just goes in a completely unwarranted, unnecessary direction, and it ruins it. You saw it too, so you agree with that then, Amanda?
Yeah, 100%. You asked me what hey, what'd you think of The Substance? Because I was starting to barrel through all the movies you were telling me to check out. And I got to the end of it and I was like, I can't wait to tell Aaron about how stupid this ending was. And that was, I think, one of the first things that I told you, could have been really great, but ended really stupid.
But you do agree Demi Moore was
she was
great.
Fantastic. Yeah. She was so good. And I couldn't agree more about her level of vulnerability in so many ways, and how, and it's, yes, there's of course, very much the physical vulnerability, but you can also tell there's emotional vulnerability in her performance.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful and very layered, very layered.
All right, so my choice is going to be Anna Kendrick from Woman of the Hour. I love that movie, and I love her direction in it, and I love the way she played this character, and it had so much, just everything you can think of, especially for, watching somebody who dealt with women's rights or women's perceptions in the early 80s, late 70s. She executed it so well, and I just think she's amazing.
That's a really good choice as well. I went with someone who I felt gave me, on the surface, the same character that I expected them to be, but on a very deep and layered performance realized, holy crap, there's a lot more to this character and also to this actor, and that's Channing Tatum in Blink Twice.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said Channing Tatum, and I immediately went they're going to remember what we did around here, or whatever the hell that line was from Temple. I'm going to make a name for myself in here. Sorry. Blink Twice. Blink Twice.
So funny. But yeah, no, his performance there was, he was able to really dissect it into two different components, where yes, you have the traditional Channing Tatum, what you expect on the surface. And then as you really start to learn more about the character and you learn more about what's going on here, you realize how much darker he is. And he gives me that. He creeps me out. He scares me, and he makes me concerned for the people around him. And I fully did not expect him to be able to do anything more than what we see in his, very comical hot guy routine.
Yeah, that's a great choice. That movie is very underrated and underappreciated.
Yes,
too.
100%.
All right. Best specific moment in film. Amanda, the floor is still yours.
So I told you guys I was going to reference this moment. I'm definitely going to tell you it is the Deadpool and Wolverine multi-Deadpool fight scene. I am obsessed with the cinematography of that, or the CGI of that scene, how it is given to us visually. It feels so real. Everything feels authentic. It's fun. They add in so much character to these different individuals. And I had so much fun watching that scene. When I think about the movie and moments that I take away from it, that is my favorite. And it happened to be my favorite scene of the year.
You murdered him, you asshole. It's so funny. Oh, it's so funny. Troy.
It's the scariest 7 minutes of the year. The Jesse Plemons scene. I can't rewatch
You
Civil
really,
War.
really loved that.
I cannot rewatch the movie because of that 7 minutes.
It was
literally
terrifying.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
That could literally happen at any moment, at any time in certain places of our country.
If you haven't seen that, it is not really it's not a blue versus red at all. Actually, they blur those lines very well. It's really about war journalism. So it's a much different movie than I think it was portrayed in the media.
For those that don't know, actually a red state and a blue state actually team up together to fight the president of the United States.
Right.
So it's not a red versus blue movie, but this scene could happen whether you're blue or red also. And it could happen. That's the scary part, is that it actually could happen.
Yeah. My pick for best specific moment in film was also Deadpool and Wolverine, but not that scene. It's when they're in the car, the Honda Accord.
Honda Odyssey.
I'm sorry, the Honda Odyssey, which fucks hard. And
it's
the Wolverine's monologue. You know, there's, for a big portion of the movie, I'm watching it, I'm having fun with it, and I'm laughing my ass off, and da-da-da-da. But there was something about the Wolverine that I kind of missed. I missed the Logan of it all, right? The gravitas, but also the really deep humanity. And then they're in this car and they're having this fight, and it's finally Deadpool shuts the fuck up for 10 seconds. And Hugh Jackman gives a monologue that is damn near Oscar worthy in the middle of this ridiculously plotted Deadpool and Wolverine movie. It was emotional. It got to me. Like every time I've seen it 4 times now. And every time I've seen it, that one scene hits me right in the feels. Cause I feel like that's Hugh Jackman going, Ryan Reynolds, you're great as Deadpool, but don't ever think you're as good an actor as I am. And just basically spits in his face with it. Cause he's so good and powerful and grounds that character in that moment in just a way that I don't think many actors can.
For me, the scene or the specific moment was when Anna Kendrick is walking away from the killer in The Woman of the Hour in the parking lot.
Oh yeah,
some of the best, most intense movie scenes that you'd ever seen is just in that great bit of like 5 to 10 minutes. So good, loved every minute of it.
Good choice. That's very intense. Justin McCumber Award for movies this time. Troy.
Mine should be no surprise, but Flow. Very little known, but spiritually moving, as I mentioned. Just the final shot is just something you just ponder when you leave the theater. And there is a stinger in mid credits, so definitely stick around for the stinger as well.
I have a stinger in my pick too, but go ahead, John.
Yeah, for me, the movie is The Watchers. It's the reason why I'm picking it for this award is because I think I got a bad rap when it first came out. I saw a lot of negative press for it, or at least people saying that it wasn't that great of a movie. But I actually enjoyed a lot of it. I don't think it blows the doors off as far as like anything special, or doesn't do anything that hasn't been done before. But it is some solid movie making and storytelling that I think is worth watching. Okay,
so I mentioned mine had a stinger. That's because it was in a spider. Because my pick is Sting from Hulu. It's on Hulu right now, but it's about this little girl, Charlotte, and she finds this little spider, and she doesn't know that the more blood that this thing eats, the bigger it gets, because it's an alien spider from hell, basically. And it becomes this really throwback to Slither and monster movies of the 80s and stuff like that. It is a great, fun movie that Amanda is never going to watch, but it's so good. Just
correct.
So good.
Very correct.
And lastly, you, Amanda.
So mine is Black Box Diaries. And this was a movie that I saw at South by Southwest, which you can catch actually on Paramount Plus by the time you hear this. And Black Box Diaries is about Shiori Ito, who is a Japanese journalist, and she really explored and changed, ultimately, decades-old rape laws due to her own experience. It's very it's moving, but not in a good way. For a lot of that, she was trying to speak her truth about this individual who was the prime minister that drugged and raped her when they had tried to meet up for a career opportunity that she was very interested in, and or he had ties to the prime minister, I mean. And the person that it was so powerful that it really crumbled the life around her and the way people treated her. And it transformed her life in ways that some people can't even imagine, beyond the horrifics of what occurred. And it was Noriyuki Yamaguchi. And so it really goes through the justice system in Japan and her journey to try to get to not just a survival for herself, but to survival for all of the other women in Japan. And so I really, really hope more people check it out and learn about her story and learn about the horrific things that were put into the media about her simply because of power. And it really explores what power can do.
I remember you were very moved when you saw that, and it really affected you.
Yeah, and I do have a full review on our website. So if you want to know more about, surface level, obviously we try not to spoil like details of our movies, but there is a review out there, and it's Black Box Diaries. Again, you can check it out finally on Paramount Plus. It sounds like there's going to be some avenues for it to be accessible.
All right. Well, went from Sting, which is fun, to downright, I don't know what to say at this point. No transition from there. I'd tell you what. But we can go to our top 10. So it's time for the movies. Movies! So who is going to go first? I believe it's Troy. Troy, what is your top 10 films of 2024?
Top 10, and you'll not hear a specific movie on my top 10 because it was great, but just these were better to me. More moving, more connected, more what have you. But Number 10 is If. Really enjoyed If a lot. Had some challenges with it at the end, but for the most part, great movie. Cried. It was awesome.
One of the best scenes of any
One of
movie.
the best scenes.
Yeah.
Where they single camera shot. Fantastic.
Where they're doing and they're doing the it was a singular shot. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I said.
Never
mind.
mind.
You listen to me, but I understand. It's been 10 years. It's like we're married. Number 9 is My Old Ass. Came out of nowhere. Did not expect to enjoy this. The wife likes Aubrey Plaza.
Was it a documentary?
No, it was not a documentary.
Oh, you're such an asshole. I just got his joke.
I wasn't gonna laugh at it because I didn't want to give him the time of day.
Sorry.
It took me so long.
No, but it's a great little flick about 18-year-old coming of age, being able to talk with your future self, and some stuff happens, and I can't spoil it because it's the whole movie. But definitely go see it. I think it's streaming on Prime. We Live in Time. Again, Florence Pugh, Andrew Garfield. This movie like rocked me in a way I didn't know was going to rock me. It people I saw it with, right, rocked them in a way that I wasn't expecting either. It's just a really interesting piece of art. Highly recommend. 7, Wild Robots. We talked about that. All the feels. 6, Civil War. Definitely talked about that one. 5 was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes for me. I love all of these Apes movies, and I'm glad that they're keeping the Matt Reeves kind of feel and look to it as they're moving forward into a new era. And I'm excited to see what the next movie will bring based on what happens at the end of this one. Fall Guy. Talked enough about that over the year. 3 was Flow. And I only put it at 3. This is probably one of the best films I saw all year, to be honest, because of the message it delivered and how it was delivered, and the fact that it wasn't with humans and animals, and you just had to really pay attention. But Inside Out 2 made a shit ton of money, and it was great. So that came in at number 2. And I saw Wicked 3 times, and technically 4 if you count New Year's Eve. So Wicked was number 1.
Okay. Good list. Very good list.
I love that there's stuff on there that I haven't seen and need to check out.
Amazing.
All right. So my number 10 is My Old Ass, not a documentary. You're welcome. My number 9 is Blink Twice. We talked about Channing Tatum's performance, but the whole movie is really great. There are great supporting performances across the board. Great writing in this movie in terms of where it goes was a bit unexpected. Number 8 was Dune Part 2. Okay, so I want to take a second on this because I did not care for the first one, but for some reason, the change in the casting maybe, or maybe lessons learned, who knows, or just where the story is at now, I really enjoyed it. And so I was very surprised I enjoyed it too, because it's such a, what's the word for it? Slow burn.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
Such a slow burn. And I'm normally not a fan of slow burns. Like, I struggle with them. And maybe that's just my ADHD. We'll see. But I really liked it. Number 7 was Roadhouse. Had so much fun with that one.
I love it. That's on your top 10. I freaking love that.
Hell yes.
I love that.
Number 6 was Hitman. Another really great action film that I enjoyed that had, well, it's somewhat action, but had more story and heart to it that was unexpected. Number 5 was a very surprising movie, and I really only watched it because of Aaron's recommendation to check it out, and that was Juror Number 2.
Yeah, that was so good.
Wow, that hit me in very unexpected ways. And I remember watching as I got through each scene, like the tension of what's going to happen next. I didn't expect it to be built in so well. Number 4 is Woman of the Hour. Obviously another one that very, emotionally resonates with women in general. But the way that the story is told, how it's unfolded, Anna Kendrick's performance and her directing with this film was beyond what I could have expected. And I adore her. Mm-hmm. Number 3, Deadpool and Wolverine. Had so much fun with it. Those are characters, that are very beloved to a lot of us, and it definitely met expectations. Number 2 was Black Box Diaries. Talked about that one a bit already, but I, again, highly recommend you check it out. And number 1, it's hard not to put it at the top when you consider how great it is in a very well-rounded way. Music, the set design, the writing, the story, and especially if you've seen the play, you really enjoy the way that the story is told in Wicked and the performances here. And across the board, costume design, even makeup, hairstyling, everything really impressed me and stood out to me. And I enjoyed that.
That's great. But you watched it last night and it's your number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So my list, starting with number 10, starts with Long Legs. We talked about it a little bit. Nick Cage, Michael Monroe, can't go wrong. Then it's If. I cried so very hard at the end of this movie. Then it's Hitman, so much fun. Juror Number 2, the way the twists work and the way the story unfolds is just peak Clint Eastwood at his best. So it's just a good story. No surprise to anybody, Godzilla Kong is in the middle of the pack. Then I have Heretic, a fantastic little horror flick. Deadpool Wolverine, I don't know if you heard about it, guys. It's a good movie. The Fall Guy needs to be mentioned.
Yeah.
And Caddo Lake, which is something that not a lot of people got a chance to check out, but I hope more people do in the future. But it's a fantastic little story. If you like coherence, if you like time travel stories, if you like something that has a little bit weirdness to it, it's a good story to check out. And then finally, Woman of the Hour. I love how that story unfolded. I love how it can put you in the place of somebody that you shouldn't be able to be in their place of and feel what they're feeling. It's just a well done story.
Caddo Lake is on Max, right?
Max.
Okay. Just for people that wanted to find it. Okay. So my top 10, I want to do an asterisk because my number 1 movie, spoiler alert, was a movie I saw at a film festival, but it actually comes out wide in February. So we had a debate before we went live here to say if it would be included or not, because is it fair to put it on there when it's going to be released for most people in February? And I said, I'll follow whatever the majority said. And the majority was 2-1 to hold it. So I'm still going to mention it. God damn it. Because it was my favorite movie of the year for me, even if people haven't got a chance to see it. and that's my dead friend Zoe. We're in the trailer. We're featured in the trailer. So you can go watch the trailer for it right now and you'll see The Hollywood Outsider is featured. And that is a movie that comes out in February. Don't miss it. It's really a heartfelt, heavy drama focused on PTSD and friendships and family. And there's a lot going into it that I don't want to spoil here. You can hear me go into it on South by Southwest episode if you want to go find that from last year. But it is coming to theaters in February. Don't miss it if you like movies like that. So I'll give you my top 10 based on that amended list. And we have a front runner for the best movie of next year. So there's that. Number 10, Civil War. Loved it. As you've already heard Troy talk about, there's a lot more than just that 7-minute scene, though. There is a whole film focused on what would the world look like for war journalists today. And it really, really kind of captures that. Then there's a movie called The Order, which no one is talking about, and it's really making me sad because it's so well done. And it stars Jude Law as a FBI agent in the 80s, I believe, and basically trying to stop Nicholas Hoult, who's in everything this year, from a white supremacist movement it's based on true events. It's a fantastic movie. It's stellar. I really wish more people would get it. It's so intense. It's really like a good solid crime thriller that we don't get enough of these days. Heretic is Hugh Grant. Basically, we've talked about it a little, but you don't really know what it is. It's about a guy who's visited by 2 Mormon teenagers, and they're trying to speak to him about Mormonism. And it's basically like a discussion on religion. And it's really a horror movie, and you're building to the horror of it all as he's debating different elements of religion through the centuries. And it's a fascinating way to make a dissection of religion. And I just thought it was great. Then we move on to Wicked. Really loved Wicked. Didn't love it to be my top 5. There's movies that I love more than Wicked, but I really did love Wicked, and I've seen it twice, and I had a great time both times. Then we get into number 6, and I ain't ashamed of it, but Axel F. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F., Netflix. They brought back a big feeling I've missed, which is that of funny Eddie Murphy. I love that movie. I've seen it multiple times. I feel good every time I watch it. They hit that nice balance of nostalgia and modern day, and I don't want any more necessarily. I just really love that I got that one to make up for the mistake that was Beverly Hills Cop 3. Now we get to the point. Yeah, right. Now we get to number 5, and that is Juror Number 2. These guys talked about it. It's basically a guy's on a jury, finds out he knows more about a murder case than he should, and it becomes a morality tale. What would you do in this situation? And it's a little deeper of a situation than you think by that description. And this was a pleasant surprise to me. I knew of the film. It was supposed to be released theatrically, and it only went to like 50 markets, so it was really hard to find. And when I finally got to see it, I was blown away. Like, I thought maybe Clint Eastwood had lost a step. He's 93. Who still directs at 93? This guy still got it. It is an intense movie. And when it was over, I was having conversations. And then I think those are some of the best kind of movies. Heretic is another one like that. And then number 4 is The Wild Robot. Came out of nowhere. There's only going to be one animated film on my list because it's not my favorite way to watch a movie. Doesn't mean I don't like them. I just, it's not my favorite way. And Inside Out 2 was a little lower, but Wild Robot blew me away with emotion, with humor. Pedro Pascal does nothing wrong unless he's in Fighting Sharks and Gladiator 2. And this is just a wonderful film. And it's got a great message about parenthood and love and how there's more to family than just blood, which I always love when that's an element. So it's a beautiful story. And you have The Fall Guy, which is Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, and he is, yes, the unknown stuntman. And it's just, I've watched the regular version. I've watched the extended version because there's an extended one that's like 20 minutes longer. And I feel like it's just as good, if not better. So, I mean, usually when you watch those, you're like, oh God, I like the shorter version better, but I kind of dig the extended one. It's a great freaking movie, and it should have been seen by so many more people. I love it. And he's so funny. And if you like The Nice Guys, it's basically like a big budget version of the character, if he was a stuntman. And then you've got number 2, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. I think we've talked enough about that one. But I'll say one more thing. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Let's do it again, boys. Let's do it again. My number one is a little movie called Thelma. You can find it on Hulu now, I believe. It is a John Wick for grandmas. Okay. It's this little old lady, June Squibb, who is robbed of her life savings, and she goes after him. And she refuses to be seen as just an old, incapable woman. She's going to get a gun and she's going to get this done. And it's so fun, yes, but sweet, tragically sweet. It's just a beautiful movie, and it really, really goes into the perceptions of age, how other people treat age, what's important to people as they age, to be seen as a human being, to be valued as a person, even though you're incapable of doing a lot of things. It's the way the world sees you when you're incapable of doing those things that really matter to a lot of people. It is one of the most beautiful stories of the last few years I've seen, and I've just really bummed that so many people have never even heard of it nor seen it, but it is a great movie. It wasn't as great as My Dead Friend Zoe, but hey, majority wins. But Thelma, great movie. You should definitely watch it. All right, now let's move on. We had a poll that we put in our Facebook group, which you can find at The Hollywood Outsider. It's on its own private group, so you have to look for it. But the top 10 of 2024 from listeners, according to a poll, and there was a lot of stuff chosen. We're going to go TV first, right? Number 10, TV, best of 2024, Dexter, Original Sin. Wow. Didn't see that one coming, but that's actually a fun show. They do a pretty good job of recapturing that vigor of the original show. Number 9 is Landman, which is really catching fire lately. Number 8 is Bad Monkey. I hope I had something to do with that resurgence. Number 8 is Reacher. Of course, Reacher is in here. Number 7 is Shrinking, which is pretty surprising because Apple TV shows, they're watched by a little less of the community, but my God, that show is catching fire as well. Kind of Ted Lasso-ish, or esque, one of those. And then we go to Agatha All Along. No surprise. It's the only Disney show on the list. And then we don't count Hulu as Disney shows, people. Then we go to the top 4. Shogun is number 4. Number 3, coming out of nowhere, this show has really, really been just setting the internet ablaze, and that's Silo. Silo is doing great. Then we have The Penguin at number 2. The number 2 spot. And number 1, Fallout. By a mile. So people are there, oh, it must have been close between Penguin and Fallout. It was not. Not at all. No, it was not. All right, so let's go to the top 10 for film. And coming in at number 10, we've got Beetlejuice. Thank God they didn't do it 3 times or he would have appeared. And what do I do then? Nothing. I freak out. That's what I do. And then we've got, but I was kind of surprised because, well, it was very popular. And I guess that makes sense. Fans loved it. Number 9, Inside Out 2. No big surprise there. Number 8 was Civil War. Number 7 was Alien Romulus. Didn't really talk much about that one, but, that was kind of like a greatest hits package of Alien movies. So they did a pretty good job. But A. Alvarez, who did the Evil Dead remake, did a great job with that film and revitalizing and reinvigorating that whole series. Now I'm sure we've already got an Alien series coming out this year. I'm sure we're getting some more movies. Twisters, number 6. That's awesome. That one just missed my top 10. I mean, it was right at the cusp and I couldn't commit to it, but it was right there. I think it's going to probably, if you ask me this next year, it'll probably be higher just because it has that rewatchability factor. That throw that one in, man. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a Twisters double feature or something. It just really, really is rewatchable. And that's a plus for any movie. It always moves it up the list. Then you've got right at the top 5, The Wild Robot, which again is coming up. It's taking over Inside Out 2 in a lot of top 10 lists. And that really kind of surprised me, but it is a great movie if you haven't seen it. Number 4. Ooh, I'm glad so many people are finding it. The Fall Guy, baby. Yeah. It was such a great movie. Why aren't more people talking about it? And it has that perfect rewatchability factor. I've seen it multiple times. It's still good. Then you've got number 3, which I am not surprised at all, is that Wicked is here at number 3. That's going to come back. I'm sure it's going to be on the list next year if number 2 does as well as this one did. And our top 2, number 2 is a surprise because it was only on one of our lists, and that's Amanda's, and she already talked about it, but Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2. Fans love the Dune. They love it. They love it. It was a much better film than the first one. I will give you that. Now, does Denis Villeneuve deserve an Oscar? No, I don't think so, but that won't stop people from clamoring for it. And then number 1, Deadpool and Wolverine by a mile. It was not even close. Honestly, it was pretty close to my number 1. I just, I had all the feels from Thelma. That's all. But in rewatchability, I would say Deadpool and Wolverine is probably the number 1 movie of the year too. So I agree with people. Now, we took all those lists, John, Amanda, Troy, myself, listeners, threw them all in a blender, and we determined, based on the average and the placements and all those lists, what was both the whole TV series of the year and the whole movie of the year. Are you guys ready?
I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do this.
Now, Troy, he had to leave because he said, I don't give a shit. If it's not what I want, if it's not Wicked, I'm out of here. And it wasn't Wicked. He just said, I'm out. That's what happened. It was very.
We were there. It's totally a Troy thing. Anyone who just thinks that Troy wouldn't do such a thing, you're wrong.
Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry, but Wicked is far more popular. But the whole.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
I'm clapping for myself. I'm pulling a Troy. I'm laughing at my own jokes. All right. So, TV show of the year was Fallout.
Nice.
Fallout. Now, the whole movie of the year, drum roll. It was Megalopolis. No, it was Deadpool and Wolverine. No surprise. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Everyone's sitting there going, we already know what that one's going to be. But yeah. And there are people that still say, well, it wasn't that good. It was poorly plotted, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you had a great time, man, you had a great time. You don't have to make excuses for it. You don't have to justify it. It was a great time.
It's okay to have a good time.
It is.
Here's the thing. We all on this show and that listen to this show know that since Aaron's the one that develops this, even if we all wouldn't have put it high enough, he still would have picked Deadpool and Wolverine as number 1 there.
That's not. No, I
don't know. I think you might have rigged it.
I did not rig it. This is based on the poll and the collection.
No, I know it is. I know it is now. I'm saying even if it weren't, I think somehow it would have been.
I don't appreciate what you're implying there. I don't appreciate that you're implying that this thing is rigged. Haven't we had enough?
That your love for Hugh Jackman
haven't we had enough
supersede
for that? Like over the last few years of people implying things are rigged. Okay, it won fair and square. It won the popular vote and it won the electoral system. Okay, so bam, all the way across the board, it won. Damn it. Reacher should have won Best Show of the Year still, even with those 3 episodes. That's what should have happened.
I don't know why you didn't follow your own rule.
Because I picked it last year as number 1. It feels like cheating to me.
It had more episodes this year.
No, it had. I saw season 2 in 2023. So to me, that's when it applied. Because I had screener copies. So I saw it before they all aired.
Oh, that's right. Because, I
played it fair. Right?
Yeah. You played it fair.
Well, if I would have known that, I thought we were all disqualified from using it.
No, I never said that.
In 2024.
Oh, we got to start the episode all over again.
Oh, here we go.
Son of a bitch. Reacher wins. I knew it. Just in time for the new season. That's it. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. And Troy did have to leave. He ran over a drop dead time that he had just so he could be there for most of the show. So we do appreciate him being here. Thank you guys for being here. And we'll be back with more show next week. So remember, the next time you head to a theater or sit comfortably on your couch streaming in 2025, hopefully I will have internet back up by then because I'm doing this on a hotspot this week. Oof, that's tough. And Amanda's doing it without a proper microphone. So we'll try to be back to normal next week, right?
Yes.
No, probably not.
Didn't sound convincing by anyone. All right. Well, whatever you do, just go buy popcorn. And just so you know, you can either go buy one of those buckets that you fuck, which I would rule against. I mean, come on, that's just gross. But you can get the AMC refillable buckets now at your AMC Classic Cinemas, but not at your regular AMC, even though they'll refill them at the regular ones, because that makes any goddamn sense whatsoever. Bye.
Bye.